Today we're going to talk about how to have the government work for you. My name is Michael Barayev, and I was able to build a team of 150 plus sales guys in less than 2.5 years, and we did that with zero money invested. Now, how do you make the government work for you? It's a crazy concept, right? We're so used to the government giving us free welfare, free food stamps, free this, free that, but we never really understand and really understand where they're coming from. Like, how do we make the government partner with us and do business with us and help us succeed? Because at the end of the day, if you look at the government and say, oh my God, they're against me, I don't like the government, all this nonsense, I understand where you're coming from, but you have to look at it from a perspective of how can I make them work for me? How can I work with them to accomplish the goals that I want to accomplish? Because if you go against the government, at the end of the day, you're not going to win. They got too much power, too much money, too much influence, and you're just not going to win that battle. So why waste your energy and your time to fight them when you can make them work for you, literally, okay? And I'm going to go over a few ways on how you can make the government work for you in this short video. Now, what I want you to understand is that when the word free comes out anywhere, the word free is what you should be scared about, okay? When the government says anything for free, that is when you have to run. When the government taxes you on something, you should be excited because there's a reason why they're taxing people. There's a reason to that. Now, I'm not saying you need to get taxed because a lot of the successful people, they don't pay taxes, and there's a way to do that, which we're going to talk about in a second. But when it comes to being free or anything given to you for free, anything with the word free, welfare, food stamps, Section 8, whatever it may be, you have to be understanding that this is a very scary place to be. That is where you have handcuffs with the government. When the government says, all right, we're going to give you a tax credit, a tax deduction, we're going to incentivize you to do X, Y, Z, that is when you need to get excited. As a matter of fact, if you look at the IRS code, almost 75+%, 85%, I don't know exact numbers, but I know a big chunk is not about how you get taxed. It's about how to deduct stuff as a business owner, as an investor, blah, blah, blah. So you have to understand that the IRS code, that the government wants you to be successful, because the more successful you become, the more money they can make off of you and your business and your people. So think of it this way. Number one, anytime that's free, you got to run the other way. Number two, do not fight the government. Okay? You want to flow with the river, not go against the river. If you go against the river and you try to swim against the current, you're going to waste a lot of energy. You want to go with it. If they're going this way, go with them. Do what the government wants you to do. I'm not saying you need to be a peasant and listen to everything they say, but you want to flow with them. They're there to be your partner. They're your partner in business. They're your partner in anything you're trying to accomplish in your life. Because remember, you're living in their country. Now, I know I may get a lot of criticism and hate on this because you may say, Michael, politics, lunatics, Democrats, Republicans, I don't care about none of that stuff. Now, I have my political beliefs, but I don't let that get involved with what I'm trying to accomplish. And when it comes to politics, you have to know what's going on in the marketplace. You have to study the code, study the business, study what's going on in the trends, study what's going on in the world politics. Like, be very aware. Like right now, there's Taiwan situation with China. There's the situation with Ukraine and Russia. Be mindful. Don't just believe everything you see in the media. Study. Listen to both perspectives. One thing I learned from one of my mentors is that you don't want to believe one side of the perspective. There's always three sides to a coin, not two. There's the heads, there's the tail, and there's always that edge. And you have to be able to be on the edge to look at the left, look at the right, and be mindful and understand both parties' perspectives. And a lot of people these days, they're super conservative and they're Republican and they love this. And you have the other side, they're so Democratic or so left or so this, whatever, and they cannot see the other side's perspective. You have to be in the middle and understand both parties because you need to see what's the advantage for yourself. Like, for example, I have my political views may be a little bit more conservative, but there's some views, for example, when it comes to solar or energy or the environment, I'm a little bit to the left. Now, why is that? Because I'm a smart man. I don't want to be just stuck to one side. I want to see both sides of the story and then make my own interpretation for my future and my family, okay? With that said, let's talk about the investment areas that you can focus on to have the government work for you. Number one, I want you to understand this. The government wants you to win. The government wants you to be so super rich that they're going to tax the crap out of you later on. They want you to be successful. I want you to understand that again. They want you to be rich, but you have to understand how to utilize them to help you get what you want, okay? So as a business owner, these are the 7 areas that you can work with the government to work on building your future and building your wealth, okay? Now, all these 7 areas I learned from a book called Win-Win Strategies of the Wealthy, okay? It's by Tom Wheelwright. It's a great book that just came out. I read it in like a couple of days. Amazing, amazing book. And you have to understand that these are the 7 areas where you can create partnership with the government, all right? Now, understand this. If you are an employee, you're not going to get a lot of these benefits. As an employee, you cannot partner with the government. As a matter of fact, they don't even want to do business with you. They want to take your money and run away because they don't trust you. They don't think that you can add value to the community. They don't think you can add value to them in the future. They don't think you can build wealth with them. But if you become a business owner and an entrepreneur or an investor, that is when the government gets super excited to say, hey, you're becoming a business owner, we're going to help you out. You're becoming an entrepreneur, we're going to help you out. You're becoming an investor, we're going to help you out because you're taking the risk, you're taking all the energy, and you're doing all the work, and they benefit from it. So you have to understand that, okay? So the first area you want to look into is business ownership. A business does not pay taxes on the revenue it makes. It only pays taxes on the profits. So you need to understand that. As an employee, you pay taxes on what you make. If you make 60 grand this year, guess what? You're paying taxes on 60 grand. As a business, if you make 600 grand this year, but your profits were 20 grand, you're only paying taxes on the 20 grand. So it's very, very, very important to understand that, right? So as a business, you get things called deductions. So you can deduct stuff off your top line to then pay taxes on what's left over. So a guy can make $1 million a year and only profit 200 grand and pay only taxes on 200 grand as a business owner. As an employee, if you make $1 million, you're getting taxed like crazy and you're going to lose half that money, okay? So number two, the government wants you to invest in energy. Okay, why is that? Solar, wind. The government wants peace and tranquility. I want you to understand that the government wants peace and tranquility in the marketplace. And the government wants us as Americans to, or any other country, most countries actually want you to be what? They want to be energy independent. So they're going to say, hey, if you invest into energy, oil, solar, wind, hydro, whatever those things are, they're going to give you tax deductions and tax credits. Okay, now deduction reduces the amount of tax liability you have, not one-to-one. So for example, if you have 100 grand in revenue and you spend, let's say, $20,000 in business, you get a deduction of $20,000. So you only pay taxes on 80K. And let's say you're at a 30% tax rate, 30% on 80K is what? 24K, right? So you pay tax on 24K. A tax credit is a one-to-one reduction, right? So for example, if you owe 24K in taxes and you got a 20K tax credit, right? You basically do not pay 24K in taxes, you only pay 4K. Now this is complicated for you, we can make another video on that. And by the way, this is not financial advice, this is my opinion, okay? Just for you to know. But this is something for you to understand the difference between deduction and a credit, right? So the government is going to give you credits when it comes to having anything invested into energy, oil wells, you know, investing into solar, stuff like that, okay? Very important to understand that. Next one is research and development. Why do you think Amazon pays very little federal tax? Because most of their profits, you know what they do with it? They invested in research and development to build technology, to build advancement in the business. And the government's like, listen, you're going to do that? We're going to give you credits and deductions because we want to partner with you. If you create advancements in the technology, what ends up happening, we're going to give you a credit, we're going to give you a deduction, and because you become more successful, there's more taxes for them through payroll taxes, through employee taxes, through other taxes. Like they make their money when you become successful and you become rich, all right? Next is real estate. The government wants people to have housing. If there's no housing in the economy, what happens? Chaos. They want people to have a place to live. And that's why they incentivize people to go out there and risk their time, risk their energy, risk their money to go out there and make what? To build houses, to build buildings, to invest in multifamily, in whatever it may be when it comes to real estate. And there's a lot of tax advantages of being a real estate investor. As a matter of fact, you might think, why are real estate investors becoming wealthier and wealthier and wealthier? Well, because they actually invest in what the government wants them to invest in. Housing is very important to the government because they want peace and tranquility. Remember, if you do what the government wants you to do, you will be wealthy. You got to be in partnership and in sync with what they want. Because remember, the more money you make, the more money they can make on taxes and employee tax and all the other places of business. I read this book, it was an incredible book, and it taught me a lot because I was like, wow, now I understand why the government is giving me so many valuable deductions like depreciation, right? There's so many valuable pieces of real estate that motivates the investor to go out there to invest because they pay very little taxes. And the government is okay with that because like, listen, you take care of the housing, we'll give you depreciation, we'll give you the tax deduction, we'll give you the tax credits. You take care of the energy, you take care of the community and want to make people energy independent and you control the energy sector, we're going to invest into you. Think about it. When you open up a business, how many jobs are you creating if you have 5 employees, 10 employees, 20 employees? It doesn't only affect the employee, it affects the vendors, the competitors. It gets the whole industry to grow, right? So they're going to incentivize you. They may not tax you, but overall, they make a lot more money in taxes because of all the payroll taxes and the state tax and all the other stuff. Agriculture is another area. Do you think the government wants people to be hungry in the streets? When people are hungry, what do? They get hangry, especially me. I get very hangry sometimes, right? So they want people to be fed. So they're going to incentivize farmers to create crops, to do all this stuff, because it's expensive to build food, to build factories, to build all this stuff. It's expensive to have a farm. But they say, hey, listen, you're going to focus on agriculture. We're going to give you deductions and credits to focus on creating food for the economy, because you're taking care of an important thing. You feed the country, we got your back. Next is retirement accounts. Older people, 50, 60, 70, the government doesn't want people to depend on them, right? They don't want people to be on Medicare, because the more people are on Medicare and Social Security, the more stress it is on them to take care of that. They want people to have their own retirement accounts in the private sector and have it grow. So they're going to incentivize you. Like, for example, not that I believe in it, but there's 401ks. There's a lot of programs out there to help people with putting money away and growing it later on, so that when they're 50, 60, 70 years old, they're not dependent on the government and asking them, hey, can you help me and take care of me? Okay? Next is insurance. There's so many benefits in insurance. I'm not going to go into this video, but like this whole life policy, there's so many policies out there, so many advantages of having insurance. A lot of the wealthy people, what they do is they make all this money from all these places and they dump it into insurance policies because they don't get taxed. There's a lot of crazy things that happen in insurance. I'm not going to go into it in this video, nor am I qualified to go over that, but you have to do your research. Okay? Like I told you before, when it comes to politics, you got to study what's going on in the world. Study these areas. Why do you think we have a solar company? Why do you think I have a business? Why do you think I'm excited about real estate? Because I'm looking for ways to become wealthy with the government supporting me and boosting me. And if you focus on all these 7 areas, you don't have to do all 7 of them. You can if you want to, but pick one. If you're an employee right now, figure out a way where you can tell your boss, hey, how can I create extra work as a 1099 contractor and be a self-employed business owner with you? How do I create a little bit of extra work on the side? Maybe I can bring you more revenue. Maybe on Saturdays, I'll start hustling for you. Whatever you need me to do as a 1099, because you want to be a business owner. You want to start becoming an entrepreneur. That's the way to create success, because the government is going to partner with you. So if this video made sense to you and you liked it, share this with someone that wants to be an entrepreneur, that wants to create success, that wants the government to partner with them. Subscribe, like, and comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video.